For a little while, this mother left her 1-year-old daughter alone with their new puppy. Nevertheless, upon her return, she was appalled by what she found. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. The event took place in Atherton, Australia, back in 2007. Basically, this Svelsik family was just like any other. Due of their intense love for one another, Catherine and her husband made the decision to become parents. Their daughter Charlotte was born not too long after that. Despite how much Catherine and her husband loved their daughter, they felt that something was still lacking. Thus, a little more than a year later, they made the decision to visit an animal rescue facility in the hopes of finding a new family member. This time, one with 4 legs, it didn't take long for them to encounter Khan, a cute Doberman pinscher. The Doberman immediately won the family over, and they felt he was the right dog for them. However, the animal wasn't in excellent condition when they first met him. He was a mistreated dog whose situation made it difficult to decide whether or not to put him down. According to Catherine, Khan had endured such horrific abuse that he was very starved, had several fractured ribs, and was obviously abused by his prior owners. However, the Svelsik family chose to take a risk on the dog and offer him another opportunity at life, even though they were aware of his terrible background. However, Khan would do something unexpected after only 4 days with him. The event occurred 4 days after the Svelsik family acquired the dog from the shelter. Like any other typical day, it had begun normally. Khan, Charlotte, and her mother were playing in the garden to enjoy some fresh air because it was a nice and beautiful day. For a brief while, Catherine looked away from the dog and her daughter as they played together, but then she heard a snarl. Glancing back, she saw the big Doberman growling. Though that turned out not to be the case, Catherine was first concerned that the dog was being hostile toward Charlotte. The anxious mother was unaware that a snake was resting in the shadow under the home. It was a king brown snake, the 3rd most poisonous snake in the world. However, it wasn't just any snake. Khan was attempting to warn Charlotte away from the potentially lethal reptile and had noticed the potentially fatal beast. Charlotte, at just 17 months old, had no idea what the dog was attempting to do. Khan made the decision to take matters into his own hands, that is, his paws at this point. The dog, in a desperate attempt to save her, grabbed the infant by her diaper and gently threw her a few steps behind him. Charlotte's mother commented, "I would never have believed it if I had not seen it with my own eyes." Khan was paying close attention. He kept trying to nudge her, but it wasn't working, so he grabbed her by the back of the nappy and threw her over his shoulder more than a meter. The snake was not happy that Khan was the closest object to it now that the infant had moved out of the way. The dog had unintentionally agitated the lizard by shoving Charlotte so abruptly. As a result, it sprang out from beneath the house and bit him in the paw. Charlotte looked pretty shocked, and Khan screamed like he'd been stabbed, added Catherine. I realized quickly it was a snake, and Khan had been trying to get in between her and the snake before he threw her. The dog ran into the house and fell on the ground, perhaps aware that he wouldn't have much time to obtain aid. Having seen everything, Catherine was really concerned for her companion with 4 legs. Before it was too late, she hurried Khan to the veterinarians, who were able to provide an anti-venom injection to the dog. The dog was going to have a very painful night as the poison worked its way throughout his body, even though the very courageous animal was able to obtain the antidote. Fortunately, the Doberman recovered completely, and as a reward for his incredible bravery, he was treated to a hearty breakfast the next day. The local newspaper was informed by a snake specialist in Atherton that Khan could have averted death because the snake was unable to inject a significant enough dose of poison into his paw. This occurred as a result of the dog's fast snatching action, which prevented the lizard from truly latching on. If tiny Charlotte's skin had been punctured by the bite, the narrative would have turned out quite differently since she would have been more vulnerable to the poison and probably would have perished. With much gratitude, Catherine and her husband welcomed their new furry family member. Khan obtains the gold bowl he desires. During an interview with the local press, Catherine stated, "We owe him for the rest of his life." Khan's heroic deed was so remarkable that it seemed almost if the dog was attempting to express his appreciation to the Svelcik family for taking him in and saving his life at a time when he truly needed a helping hand. This story may have ended quite differently if the family had not visited the shelter that day and discovered the cute Doberman. However, Khan is not the only dog to take on a poisonous snake head-on in order to save a child. A dog that was attempting to shield a 12-year-old child from a poisonous snake in 2020 was bitten at least 4 times. The incident took place in the Bertioga area of São Paulo, Brazil's Garatuba neighborhood. Andressa da Silva dos Santos, 24, said that if family dog Typhoon hadn't been there, the 6-foot Jararaca snake may have attacked her sister, 12. The owner of the property had asked the 12-year-old girl to open the gate, so it appears that her mother had given her an errand to a nearby home. However, on the way back from her assignment, the little girl encountered the poisonous snake, which halted her in her tracks. Da Silva claimed that when she was returning, she noticed the Jararaca coming and shouted, adding that her sister was paralyzed with dread until Typhoon got there. All 4 of my mother's dogs followed, but only Typhoon confronted the snake. I believe he got bitten several times in his attempt to fight the Jararaca. The snake then slithered off, and Typhoon's terrified family hurried him to the closest veterinarian. Da Silva remarked, "The doctor even said that he wouldn't have survived if he had been my sister because the dog has much more resistance to the poison." According to the University of Michigan's Animal Diversity Database, Brazilian pit vipers are a major threat to people, and Bothrop species are responsible for the majority of New World human fatalities. Because the species is widespread across its range and prefers to live in agricultural areas, encounter rates are high. Their venom contains toxins that result in subconjunctival hemorrhage, systemic bleeding into the skin, mouth, and nose, blistering hemorrhagic blebs, and swelling at the site of envenomation. When combined, these consequences can result in severe hypertension, shock, renal failure, and cerebral bleeding, all of which can be fatal. Fortunately, Typhoon was able to survive everything as he got the anti-venom therapy in time. Although it took some time for Da Silva's family to save enough cash for their dog's medical care, they were able to receive the assistance they required by way of many online fundraisers. 7-year-old Typhoon survived his trauma and made a full recovery because to the nice and compassionate people who donated. Even though this particular incident may be relatively uncommon, poisonous snakes are a major concern in regions like Brazil, where they are native to the area and are drawn to buildings for their cool shelter and the abundance of food that comes from the rats and mice that are drawn to the trash in the town and city. But because of his incredible efforts, I believe it's fair to say that this one incredible dog will be pampered rotten for the rest of his life, though he may have to steer clear of snakes going forward. These animals truly are remarkable. Please share your thoughts on these stories in the space provided below. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.